I have a confession to make. I'm a crier. I laugh really loud, and sometimes I yell. I'm talking about when I watch movies. So think of a movie that you watch, and when you watch it, you connect with it. Maybe you have one of those reactions. You laugh, cry, or even yell. Perhaps one of these movies comes to mind. So what's happening to cause this reaction? What's going on? When you find yourself connecting to a movie or show, there's a good chance you're experiencing the power of inclusive language. We're experiencing relatability and empathy, leading us to a sense of oneness and inclusion. This connective experience is cultivated through inclusive language. Language shows up everywhere: religion, politics, the workplace, family, in all sorts of ways. Text messaging, emails, policies, conversations, that list is endless. Whether they're inclusive or not, that's a different story. Described by the Linguistic Society of America, inclusive language acknowledges diversity, is sensitive to differences, conveys respect to all people, and promotes equal opportunities. I found myself fascinated with inclusive language, so I decided to research it. I became fixated on finding a way to bring everybody together through something we all utilize, language, in a time where there seems to be endless amounts of conflict. I kept hearing things like, we're being too sensitive, we're not being sensitive enough, and when I was a kid, I heard the expression, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Sounded like an opportunity for some research. So I researched inclusive language at the workplace. I asked a ton of questions, specifically about the organization, like if images were being utilized that represent different racial identities. I asked about peers and coworkers, whether they use language that felt like a personal attack. I also asked about the individual, so some self-reflection, whether they use language that promoted respect. And lastly, social identity. I asked about peers and coworkers and if they use language that was inclusive to racial identity, sexual orientation, gender. Now at this point, we're probably all starting to wonder what we've said and done. And I am really sorry to share, my research did not produce this one-page document of words and phrases we just shouldn't use. It did capture the impact of inclusive language. When inclusive language was utilized and experienced, engagement was positively impacted, a state of being. Belonging was positively impacted as well, a social connection and a psychological need that we all have. Organizational identification, so feeling one with the company, as well as psychological safety, feeling like you can speak up, share ideas, without fear of being personally attacked. Both of those were positively impacted. And my personal favorite, performance, that was positively impacted as well. So this inclusive language survey looks a little bit like this. It captures words and visual cues. It creates this ability for us to get connected with the workplace, have that sense of connection and oneness, similar to how we get connected to movies and shows. So we have people that feel like they belong. They're doing their jobs. They have a connection with the organization. They're speaking up and participating. This is incredible. It captures the power inclusive language has on the environment and then therefore impacting the performance we do in that environment. But what happens if inclusive language is not utilized? For children, this can cause long-lasting wear and tear on their brains and their bodies. An adverse environment can cause children to have higher risk for heart disease. Diabetes can negatively affect their learning abilities and mental health. Now let's break that down for a minute. An adverse environment can trigger a fight or flight response. When in constant fight or flight response, we overutilize our stress and immune system responses, causing wear and tear on the brain and the body. It's like a house alarm going off. It's loud, we react, ready to protect ourselves. Now imagine your house alarm going off every hour. That's called toxic stress. The more toxic stress we have, the more wear and tear on the brain and the body. It impacts each other. Harvard University's Center on the Developing Child reports preschoolers have been known to show racial biases and discriminatory behaviors. What we say influences each other. That toxic stress, those are stereotypes, microaggressions, lack of representation, policies, all of these can be termed identity threats, each opposite to inclusive language. We influence even our children by what we say and our own behavior, causing the fight or flight response. We're now in the brain and the body, causing a reaction by what we say. When I was 13, my favorite show was The Real World. All right, there's some giggles, so raise your hand if you've seen The Real World. All right. For those that are unfamiliar, the context or concept, 7 strangers picked to live in a house, work together, and have their lives taped. I won't go the rest of it. I was 13 watching my favorite show. I was seeing LGBT people, pride flags, same-sex dating. I was teaching myself about myself, but I was petrified. I was in fight or flight mode, scared someone was going to come find me watching that show and question who I was. You see, at school, I learned being LGBT was wrong or risky. That led to violence. I didn't see LGBT pictures, words, or symbols at school, or almost any environment. I did see my white privilege, though, and it showed up white males everywhere. And it taught me to speak up for other people, different than myself, and not to question or invalidate their experiences. I learned to listen, even when I disagreed. The more I experienced inclusive language, the less fearful I became. I learned being LGBT was not wrong or risky, but recognized, acknowledged, and celebrated. Inclusive language is what allowed me to come out of the closet and stop functioning like I was in survival mode, and it just let me live in my truth. I firmly believe inclusive language saved my life. I gained a sense of safety and belonging. I finally was able to show up and perform and participate at my best. When we use inclusive language, we change the environment, allowing people to see themselves in society. That is power. Author Randy Allen Harris writes, "The strangest and most powerful thing ever to exist on this planet is language. Without words, nothing is possible. No iPhones, no cures for diseases, nothing." We each have the ability to change the environment through inclusive language. You hold that power. What language are you using? Thank you.